So the Insta360 GO is a really cool little camera. This is the type of camera that can go in places that other action cameras cannot. And that's because of this amazing detachability. Now this thing is tiny and I'm very impressed by the video quality that you get out of this. So let's get into the review. So first things first, let's talk about what you get in the box. Now this is an optional accessory. This is a carrying case, and I have to say this is definitely recommended because it keeps all the important essential accessories that you want for the Go 3 in order to have the best mounting options. So it just keeps it very nice and compact. Now let's go through the list. This is the tripod that I highly recommend getting. This is a very portable, small tripod. It's super lightweight, and it's actually one of my favorite tripods that I carry with me everywhere I go because it's just so lightweight. You can extend it out, has a telescoping rod, and of course it's a tripod, so you can plop it down like that. And yeah, I just gotta say it's very, very versatile, and you can twist the bottom over here just to angle stuff. So you're gonna be using that as kind of like a little tripod. Now the next really cool thing is of course the pendant, and this is like the necklace that you wear, and this is very innovative. So this is the pendant, and you have this kind of angle adapter that you can use to kind of push it more forward so that it faces downward. That's really good for like things like if you're gonna film yourself skateboarding or something like this. But yeah, this pendant is very cool. Everything's magnetized, which is what I really like. You just put it in here and then detach your little Go 3, snap it on like that. Now this setup is the killer feature. Being able to strap this little lightweight camera onto your shirt, and you don't need any special gear. This thing is very low profile. Like, I mean, look at this. This is just, that's all you need. It's just these two things, and you can go on some crazy fun adventures. Let's say you're ziplining and you want to get that really awesome first person perspective. It's amazing. It's so easy to use, and the magnet is extremely strong. It has a very nice, satisfying click. And controlling the little action camera is really intuitive. So you press it once and that will activate your most recent setting. So let's say you set the Go 3 to linear. If you press it once, it will start with that. And then if you double tap it, I programmed it so that it goes into the full field of view. So there's this really cool setting where you can capture the entire field of view, which means that you capture as much as the sensor as possible. And then later in post, you can reframe. You can also apply a horizon lock with that. And this is what you do in order to capture the entire frame. And even though it adds an extra step in post-production, I think it's worth it in cases where you really want to capture everything that is very important within the scene and you don't want to miss anything like that. So I'm going to talk about the pod and the actual small camera a little bit later. Let's keep going down the accessories that are really innovative and what makes this so unique. Now, this is my second favorite accessory. This one here allows you to attach it to any hat. And what I really like about this is that it's super lightweight. So all you're doing is adding this little camera, snaps into place very satisfyingly. You can see that you can alternate the angle, and then you just slip it on to, let's say, a hat or a baseball cap or whatever you got. I was even able to put it on my cat's collar, for example, and check out these cool first-person perspectives of the cat. So what makes this so special is that when you're wearing it, you don't feel it. That is absolutely amazing. Whereas with the GoPros or the big chunkier action cameras, you have to wear specialized gear and all this. This thing over here, you can just slip it into your pocket. If you just want to go really light and compact, this is the way to do it. So the next accessory is a 1/4-inch adapter, and of course everything is magnets, so it satisfyingly clicks in place, and it actually locks in place so that if you try to pull on it, it's not going to fall off. So it is very, very robust. And obviously there's a 1/4-inch adapter, so you can adapt it to anything. This is a universal screw thread that you can just put in, let's say, and any other existing mount or tripod. And then this is the sticky base. This is really, really flexible. It's a reusable sticky adhesive. I think it uses like nano adhesive technology, and you get many degrees of freedom. You can put it this way, horizontal, vertical. It's a friction ball. And if you ever want to reuse it, I think you can just run some water through it. There's this protective cover on it. And I have to say, I stuck it on my car in order to, see how well I'm driving and stuff like that, or get some cool perspectives. And I totally trusted the adhesive on that car as we were driving. So very impressive technology. So those are all the accessories you need for your Insta360 GO 3 in order to get the maximum benefit out of it. So what's so amazing about this little action camera is that when it's in the pod, it's more or less the same size as a GoPro. It's also much lighter than any of the other GoPros. The camera itself weighs only 36 grams, which is extremely lightweight. It's such a joy to wear it and, go about your day-to-day life. Maybe you're on traveling or something like that, and not have to worry about something kind of clunky. You can just attach it to your body, you can walk around, and you can have a hands-free experience where you're not worried about a heavy paperweight on your shirt. Now I have to say, Just being able to snap it into place is one of the most satisfying sounds ever. I just love the fact that they use magnets. You can see you have your quick menu here, so you can access quick settings. You have your on-off button over here to long press. You have the magnetic clamp. This is a very secure but quick connection to snap on things. You have your USB-C, and you have the lock button. So if you want to remove it, you can pop it out. And on the back, we have the flip out screen. This is really amazing. Like it's very robust. It feels very sturdy when I bend it. Now this thing is not waterproof, so don't go jump in with the pod into the water. This is waterproof, and I've tested it. And yeah, so you definitely want to be careful with how you use this. Don't bring this into the water. So on the actual little tiny camera, you can see there's the magnetic receiver. There's a microphone here and a microphone there, a button there. You can press and double tap it, and of course the lens. Now this camera already has a special pre-installed lens, and this is what makes it waterproof.
So I'm learning to drive, and one of the things I want to do is monitor how well I am aligned with the road, because apparently I'm not doing a very good job. So I'm going to stick this on over here, and I can remotely monitor my driving from within the car.
Before sticking on the mount, make sure you wipe the surface. You want to apply pressure for 10 seconds, and after 30 minutes, it will reach its maximum strength.
I can angle the adjustment perfectly. It gives me lots of latitude, and I can easily remove the camera. Just hold that down. And if I didn't want this on the car all the time because it's protruding just a little bit, I can just simply remove this 1/4 inch thread. And there you go. What's so cool about this action camera is because it's disconnected and I have a remote control, I can see how well I'm driving remotely. I can just put it over here and I can see if I'm hitting the curb or not.
This adhesive bond is so strong, I even applied a ton of water on it because I was washing my car and it did not fall off at all. I removed the mount using an old credit card, but you can use any thin, sturdy piece of plastic for this. Now this tiny camera is magnetized, let's not forget that. This means that you can place it on any metal compatible surface. Just bear in mind, its hold isn't as robust as when using the adhesive method. What I appreciate about the adhesive mount is its flexibility. There's no need for specialized mounting gear. Interestingly, my stand-up paddleboard had a GoPro receiver, but I was missing the right hardware, so I opted to attach the adhesive mount and it held up impressively. Even the lake water didn't compromise its grip. This allowed me to capture some truly unique angles and perspectives. So what you're seeing right now is the free frame video, which shows the entire sensor, and then later I switched to the linear mode. So I want to talk about the remote viewfinder. Now this is one of the killer features, and of course it's a flip out screen, so you can even frame yourself more easily if you do have it mounted onto the system over here. You can just hold it like this and you can totally frame yourself. It has the face auto exposure algorithms that are kicking in, so if you're heavily exposed in the back, let's say you have a bright sun sky, it's going to actually properly expose for your face and not blow it out. So this is the test of the face exposure. Right now I can see a little box around my face. That means it's exposing for my face, even though the background is really, really bright. In a traditional, let's say GoPro, my face would probably be really dark and you wouldn't be able to see me very well because it's just exposing for this really bright background over here. This is like the perfect vlogging device. I mean, being able to frame yourself, but obviously what's better is that you hold the little lock button over here, pop it out, and then from there you can actually put it in different unique places. And the issue with some of those other cameras, those action cameras, is that the front facing screen is so tiny, it's very hard to see. This obviously you get the full large screen over here, and it's quite large and it's very bright in the sunlight, so you're going to be able to see yourself no problem.
So what I really like about the Go 3 is that you can get some really creative shots, and best of all, because it's detached, you can frame it perfectly and make sure you get your shot correctly. Whereas with other competitors like the GoPro, it can be a little bit more difficult to set that up. So in this creative shot, I'm just gonna put my GoPro right here. So I can use the remote viewfinder to make sure I perfectly frame the shot. And by the way, I'm sitting in direct sunlight. It is super hot and very bright, but this LCD screen is so bright, I can easily frame my shot, even in direct sunlight. All right, and action.
So I tested the range on this. It seems that when you're in perfect line of sight without any obstructions, not even facing your back, you get really, really far coverage. But if it's like in situations where, let's say it's behind this table or something like that, your coverage is going to be lower. But honestly, I never found it very limiting. I'm able to always reframe myself no matter what in situations that are reasonable. All right, so that was about 49 steps. So quite impressive. I think that was quite far. But you have to maintain line of sight with the remote viewfinder. in order to achieve that distance. Now, if I face it kind of obstructed with my body, let's say I'm gonna go to back. So if you have this obstructed hiding behind your back, you get maybe about 10 steps. That's how far you can go before it disconnects. Now this uses Bluetooth technology, which is really good because it's low energy, it's gonna save your battery, and you're not using the more expensive Wi-Fi, for example. One thing I noticed is that the microphone quality is exceptional. It's ideal for vlogging as it captures dialogue with crystal clear clarity, in my opinion. Now let's see how it performs when you dunk the camera in water and how fast it recovers.
All right, test mic, test mic. I just put it in the water. How does it sound when I put it in the water? And how is the lens? Is it all covered up? Test mic, test mic. Water to air. How is the lens? I shake it a bit. How's the mic? Testing mic 1 2 3. Testing mic 1 2 3.
I found that the audio quality was quite good after dunking it in water. Giving it a shake also helps remove any buildup of water near the microphones. The lens remained free of smudges or water droplets, meaning that it has a really good hydrophobic coating on the lens. Now, when I started interacting with the menus and everything, I immediately noticed how responsive it is, unlike, say, the GoPros, for example. This thing never overheated, it never got sluggish, and it just feels very responsive. I really appreciate that. So let's go through the menus. So as I slide down, you can see you have all your typical settings here. You can adjust the brightness and whatnot. Right now it's plenty bright in this studio. You have things like voice command, you have lock, you can enable or disable quick capture, and if you scroll to the left, you can go into the settings. Now this unit holds about 64 gigs of storage, and I think that's plenty, especially since it doesn't shoot absolute 4K. It shoots up to 2.7K, which is still very high resolution. So you can control things like quick capture settings. So you can customize what happens on single press, and you can say, okay, well, video, and then on double press, as I mentioned before, I think that's a really good option to have. You can do the free frame video in order to make sure you get everything in focus, and then you can reframe later. Now, I'm not going to go through all the settings here, but yeah, you can change the bitrate, video sharpness. There's just a lot of stuff over here. So let's go back out to the main menu. So this bottom right button over here, you can change between different field of views. So there's ultra wide, there's action view, and then there's linear. And linear gives you kind of less of a fisheye distortion. It looks more cinematic. So I recommend that for vlogging. So what action view does is that it compresses the height. So it makes it a very wide field of view. And this is really good for first person perspectives. So you can switch between different modes. So loop recording is very useful if you want to record continuously and only save the last few segments. Let's say you're trying to do some trick or you're trying to do some stunt and it takes a lot of attempts. You don't want to waste a ton of space on your storage. Well, I think that's a really good feature to use. So it has slow motion at 1080p at 120 frames per second. Time shift means that you can get a time lapse as you're moving. Time lapse is something for static shots if you want to just get, let's say, a sunset or something like that. Free frame video, as I mentioned before many times, you basically apply the flow state stabilization and adjust the aspect ratio and horizon lock in the app. And by the way, the Insta360 app for the computer is very easy to use, and it's very intuitive and very quick. So I don't find that extra step too bothersome. Video is just your standard video mode, which you can change the resolution. So you can change the aspect ratios for TikTok content or just regular YouTube content. So 16:9. You can go into stabilization. You can turn it off if you don't need it. Let's say it's on a tripod and you want to preserve more pixels, and then you can increase the stabilization. And now what it says is, as the stabilization increases, it also increases the lag from the remote viewfinder. So as you move the little camera, it's going to be a little bit more delayed. And it goes up to max. Now here are the available frame rates and resolution. You can go 2.7K at 30 frames or 25 or to 24 for that cinematic look. 1440p gives you a little bit of slow motion at 50 frames per second. You can slow that around 40% in post. So you can swipe towards the left and then you can change the different picture profiles. So for example, there's vivid. You can get standard, which is the basic one. You get vivid for more poppy colors, and then you can get flat if you want to grade it in post. You get more of a flat image, means you preserve more of the dynamic range. You don't get very crushed blacks or bright highlights. And then there's so many more other options. I'm not going to go through all of them right now. Just like any other camera, you can adjust it from auto to manual. So things like exposure compensation, white balance, you can change that to auto, or you can start setting your own shutter speed, your own ISO, and etc. So a lot of flexibility if you want to use this more in a studio setting. And the last thing I want to mention about the menus is that if you swipe to the right, you can access and play back your recorded videos. So let's conclude this video. What do I think of the Insta360 GO 3? Well, I have to say this is one of the most unique, coolest cameras I've seen on the market thus far. I love the fact that this is so convenient, small, portable, and you can strap it anywhere on your body. So it really makes it such a camera that is a lot of fun to use, and it really helps me capture special memories that I otherwise won't with a more clunkier action camera. This is very unique. I think it's great for vlogging, has amazing video quality, sound quality, and I do definitely recommend checking it out. Or any of the other Insta360 cameras that I have. My personal favorite is the Insta360 X3. I've been using that constantly for skateboarding. I film myself all the time getting amazing, unique things. And that's why I love Insta360 as a company. They just keep innovating in the action camera market, and they're just doing great stuff. So I definitely recommend checking this out, and I'll leave links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.